Pushed to her death, a Chester County mother is now charged in the Halloween murder of her daughter, and the details are heartbreaking.
The county seat and borough of Chester County, Pennsylvania, is Westchester, included within the metropolitan region of Philadelphia. This charming Brandywine Valley town, which is home to Westchester University, emits an upbeat, youthful atmosphere. Casual restaurants and food-related activities fill hungry stomachs in the crowded downtown area, where attractive stores line the sidewalks. The crime rate in Westchester, Pennsylvania, is quite low. Westchester's violent crime rate is 17, which is lower than the U.S. average of 22.7. Such events were rare in this part of the city. It was known as a city where good people live, full of love and sympathy for each other, until the moment that will horrify everyone. This house with this address will be remembered for all time. This is something that shocked this city. She was a beautiful little girl, full of life and energy who could contribute to this world. Her smile made many happy, but her fate had a tragic end. No one deserved this, especially an innocent child. What is it that happens in people's heads when they can allow something like this? To take that step, to take someone's life, especially someone who has just started living and who has a lot of future ahead of them. This is a terrible case that forever marked this community and left them in shock. On Halloween, a Pennsylvania woman was accused of killing her 5-year-old daughter by shoving her downstairs in the basement onto a concrete landing. Sierra Robinson, a 25-year-old home health aide, is accused of third-degree murder, manslaughter, aggravated assault, and child endangerment, according to Chester County prosecutors. Just before 9:30 p.m., police and emergency services were summoned to the Parksburg residence, where officials claimed 5-year-old Amatulah, or Amy McLaughlin, had been lifeless for some period of time. They determined this by not feeling the pulse, seeing the change in the skin, and how much the body cooled down. They knew immediately that this had not just happened. When they arrived at the scene of the crime, the mother seemed upset and in a state of shock. She couldn't even talk. Everyone understood her at that moment because it was her child, so they assumed what her reaction would be. But was it an honest reaction? Something didn't seem right there. Everyone was surprised how her mother's reaction came to this, especially the statements that she gave afterwards. They knew something was wrong. Prosecutors said Robinson grew enraged and punched McLaughlin before pushing her down the basement steps, where she banged her head on the hard landing. In all this, she didn't know what to do when she saw that her child hit her head on the concrete. She saw that she was lying motionless and asked her friend for help. A friend said that the defendant contacted her at 8:45 p.m. on that same day in a panic and said, "I knocked Amy out. I'm going to prison. She refuses to wake up," officials said in a criminal complaint form.
She didn't call this in right away. She's going back and forth with a friend of hers on text, saying, what should I do? Doesn't look like she is reviving, and she's sending her pictures.
Her only concern was that it would not be known that she had done the crime. She wanted to get out with all of her might. She started lying in her statements. Furthermore, she could see that the surrounding circle was narrowing, and she didn't know how else to get out. Robinson told investigators she argued with the girl, hit her on the arms, legs, and body, and threatened to place her in a dark basement with the boogeyman. She claimed the youngster was terrified and fell, but multiple police and emergency medical professionals said they heard her repeatedly state that she had pushed the victim. The mother even admitted in one of her interrogations that she knew how to be aggressive and violent towards her. She said that she knew how to beat her often and caused her all kinds of injuries, but she didn't want to admit that she literally threw her down the stairs, where her child unfortunately succumbed to the injuries. She said that after the infant collapsed, she lifted her body and placed her on the bed. Robinson claimed she then tried to sleep, but kept checking on her daughter, who was unconscious. She ultimately dialed 911 after speaking with a friend, who subsequently told authorities Robinson acknowledged knocking out the girl. Everything pointed to the fact that there was no accident and that she did not fall by herself. This looked like murder to everyone. Even though they doubted her, you couldn't just make a decision. They had opened an investigation, and they started it with an autopsy. They got all the answers there. Authorities reportedly claimed the girl had been severely beaten over a period of time, citing an autopsy that revealed numerous bruises, scars, puncture wounds, and striking marks on her arms, legs, and back. This little girl experienced a very violent death at the hands of her mother.
She lands on her head on a concrete landing. And her mother did this on purpose. And when we did the autopsy, that crushing blow to the little girl's head.
Sierra Robinson agreed to a plea deal reached by a prosecutor from the Chester County District Attorney's Child Abuse Unit and Robinson's defense attorney. In exchange for a guilty plea to third-degree murder, she was given a sentence of 18 to 36 years in state prison.
As I look at photographs of this little girl, what I often see is that she's in clothes that cover her up down all the way to her wrist, cover her up all the way down to her ankles. And like many abusers, it looks like this defendant was making sure that she struck this child in places where it wouldn't show up until she finally crossed all the way over and did something that killed her.
Third-degree murder, a crime where the accused is charged with homicide done without a specific purpose but with a degree of malice, has a maximum sentence of 20 to 40 years in prison.
That third-degree murder charge, that's murder with malice. Malice is defined as depravity, coldness of heart, cruelty. And I can't think of a better description of what this mother did to her own 5-year-old.
In court, a lot of the victim's family gave their statements, which were visibly shaken. In that state of shock, one could say words. They were not introduced to their family situation, so they could not even imagine where all this could lead this little girl. After hearing from family members during the court session, Chester County Common Pleas Court Judge David Bortner acknowledged the guilty plea and punished Robinson. Christine Abadamarco, Deputy District Attorney, prosecuted the case, and Cheryl Wilson, an Assistant Public Defender, represented Robinson. According to a news statement, the defendant's 2-year-old kid was unhurt and is being cared for by the County Child Protection Services. According to the criminal complaint filed in the case, an anonymous source reported Robinson assaulting the youngster to a child protection hotline in December, the year before the murder. The severity of the murder startled the town, a relatively peaceful municipality of 3,600 people in the county's western outskirts. According to statistics, the last homicide in the borough occurred in 1991. The Parksburg community mourns the death of this child, stated Parksburg Police Chief Brian Scheller in a news statement following Robinson's arrest. Mayor John Hagan II described the situation as a tragedy. Everyone described it as such because there is no other word to describe it. This was an example where domestic violence has no way out until it's reported. Unfortunately, in this case, there was no one to report this violence because it would probably have ended differently. This was a lesson for everyone, especially in their community, to pay more attention to domestic violence. Situations like this can happen very easily if you don't react properly in time. This is unfortunately one of the many cases where lives are lost. In that city, the day when this girl is killed is being commemorated, and she will be remembered for her smile and cheerful spirit. If you like this video and want more content like this, hit that like and subscribe button. Leave us in the comments what you think about this case and what you would like to see us investigate for you next. Thank you for watching.